Hey guys, how are we today? It's good to see you guys. Hey Van, how are you? Hey Trista. Um, we started getting some snow today. We got some the last time that I told you guys, and then it switched to ice, and then it rained it all away, and we weren't supposed to start getting any more until um Friday, I think, but we started getting it today. So I don't know. Everybody stay safe and warm. Hey, hippie chick, how are you? And Sunday, it's good to see you too. It's good to see all you guys. Um, I wanted to tell you guys that on my community post the other day, I made a post about Virgil Thu, and I was so hoping that he would have been caught by the next time I went live, you guys. And there wasn't a whole lot about him at the time, but I did wanted to get out what I could. And so I left his picture and things there, but he's still loose, you guys. So I'll show you guys what I have right now just to get a little bit more info out about him. He's super bad news, you guys. I'll show this. I think this is what I posted on my community tab. And it was in New Lisbon, Juneau County, Wisconsin. And one of my friends told me it's near the Wisconsin Dells. If you guys have heard of that touristy place, it's near there. And he's still loose. And a good thing to remember is he's tall but super skinny, 5'11" and 160 pounds. And he's got brown hair and blue eyes. And it says on December 30th, 2024, at approximately 4:29 p.m., two juveniles and one adult female were found deceased inside a residence in the 300 block of West Bridge Street in the city of New Lisbon. The adult female has been identified as Elizabeth Kolba. The two juveniles' female names are being withheld, however, their ages were 12 and 13 years old. But since then, hey Wolfie, how are you? It's good to see you. It's really good to see you. Um, since this post, you guys, one of the 13-year-old, her family has came out and said that she was staying with her little cousin who was the 12-year-old. And it said that I believe the 12-year-old is his stepdaughter. You guys, I hate to say it, but hey, Tony, good afternoon. Good to see you. I hate to say it, you guys, but it is reminding me of that. Remember what happened in Henrietta, Oklahoma, where at that sleepover, those 5 people were massacred? That's what it's reminded me about. And I get super ick vibes from this dude, you guys. And it said on a newscast that I just looked at this morning, hey, Candace, hello. Um, okay, Aaron, no problem. Um, it said that the woman Elizabeth, who was his live-in girlfriend, and the 2 kids, and his mom also lived there. So I'm surprised that his mom wasn't killed too. But they found those 3 behind a locked door and with gunshot wounds. And since this, they have found his car. So I don't know how he's getting around. And in this type of weather, too, I really don't know. And it's been since the 30th. So unless he took the coward's way out, that's a big possibility, too. And they just haven't found him yet. So I'll show you guys a few more pictures that I have, but everything that I have is on my community tab. He is considered armed and dangerous too. One of the pictures that they had, hey Nicole, good to see you. One of the pictures that I have from a trail cam, I don't have it here, but he's carrying something under a blanket, and people are thinking that was the big gun that he used. So really, really tall. And really, really skinny. Well, not really tall, 5'11", but tall for to only weigh 150 to 160 pounds. Hey, Chopper. Yeah, I think so. Not legitimately cray cray, but not like where he could use that as a defense or anything. Just evil, in my honest opinion. Evil as evil can be. Um, So yeah, that's him, and I wanted to at least get out a little bit more info about him, and I have a whole lot more. So if we, hopefully he's caught before I need to do any more information, put out any more information about him. He is, like you wouldn't trust your pet with this level of crazy. Yeah, definitely don't trust your pet. No. Um, what else was I going to tell you guys about him? If it comes to my mind, I'll let y'all know. Um, but today, what I wanted to talk to you guys about, Debbie was telling me um, about Krystal that we're going to be talking about today, and it what her the it has been 8 long years to get to this point today for Krystal, you guys. And tomorrow, hopefully, Court TV will show her perpetrator's trial. I'm going to show you excerpts today of what I found, but you guys, it was during the Sarah Boone trial. And Court TV, one of the anchors even said, "We've saved some bits and pieces for you guys, but it was during Sarah Boone trial, so that's what we were covering." Like, I think that, I don't know, that just hit me the wrong way, you guys, which I'm still going to play Court TV and stuff, but that just kind of hit me the wrong way, you know what I'm saying? And I also wanted to tell you guys that today is going to entail a lot of DVs. So yeah, Debbie just posted the links. So please, and if you, I'll try to warn you before anything really bad. But if you have to step away today, I totally understand. Totally. And also, it's not the best for kids today either, because some of the uh, his defense is if it was rough, intimacy. I don't want to say it just in case any kids are watching right this minute, but he was saying it was rough intimacy, basically. And you guys remember Dr. Drew Pinsky from Loveline and Celebrity Rehab and stuff like that? He even testified at the preliminary trial saying that it's possible. And Dr. Michael Bodden, he testified saying that her wounds could have been attributed to that. She had 3 breaks to her voice box. I don't think that could have happened during consensual, rough stuff. And so that really made me really angry. And she had facial contusions and beaten horribly, and I just don't see how he even has the gall, or his defense team, to even try to present that. Yes, Aaron is exactly right. He Well, let's just start at the beginning, you guys. But her mom was such a pivotal part of this whole case, and she reminds me how my mama would be. Like, you hurt my baby, and I'm going to go follow you to the ends of the earth until I get justice for her. Yeah, she definitely was. Okay, you guys, let me pull up. Let me see here. Okay. And I didn't, yeah, Aaron, I hadn't told Debbie, or I hadn't told anybody about that. I didn't know if you, so I'm glad Aaron can tell you guys her involvement. I was just about to text you and ask you if that was okay. Erin tried her very, very best to help her. She sure did. Okay, you guys, now I'm going to show you. This is 30-year-old Krystal Mitchell. So beautiful. Let me show you guys this. She was such a go-getter, her mama said. She purchased her own home at 21 years old. She was born and raised in Oregon in the Washington area, but she ended up moving to Phoenix, Arizona right before all of this happened. And well, something made a ding. I don't know what that was about. At the time, she had a 6-year-old little boy and a 5-year-old little girl, and her stepfather said that she always had a way with people, cheering them on and encouraging them. And her mama said she was so funny, beautiful, and friendly. And when she walked into a room, the whole mood changed. I've known people like that. When they walk into a room, they put off some kind of vibe. And I know exactly what she's talking about. And let me see what else I can find. And another thing that when Debbie sent me this case that just made me really want to dig into it is in her obituary, it said that she loved the Lord and was outspoken about her faith, and that after her passing, her after her passing, people had come back and told her mama that they had inspired her on their journey of faith. And I was like, oh, bless her. But yep, and there's her and her mama. And since her mama, she really is. Her name was Josephine Wentzel. Her mama's name is. Yeah. And they used to talk on the phone all the time. And there they are together again. Yeah. And this was their last Christmas together. And you guys know I always cover up the faces of the kids. And so I did that again on this one. But there is one picture that I'm going to show you. I believe that it's next. That does show the kids. And I just feel, I had it on my heart that I feel that I needed to show them because they're getting justice too for their mama, you know. And Josephine did post this picture, and she was on a few newscasts, and they did show this picture. So that's why I feel that it's okay to show. This is them, you guys. Look how absolutely adorable. And right before this happened, her 2 kids would go and stay with Josephine for a few weeks out of the summer. And so that's where they were at the time of this incident. This happened on June 10th, 2016, guys. Yeah. Beautiful babies. All right. Now we're going to start talking about this dude. Well, first, let me tell you. So, Krystal, at this time, she was a property manager. And she had a stalker at the time, this guy who would not leave her alone, knocking on her doors, calling all the time. And I'm not sure if it was, they said she just got out of a long-term relationship, so I'm not sure if that was the same guy that was the stalker or not. But while she's at work, hey, crazy mama, good to see you. While she was at work, this dude comes and shows up. And there's all kinds of pictures with him with his shirt off and stuff like that. And I just couldn't stomach it to show any of them. But I wanted to show this one because look how little she was and look how big he was. You know, he she told her mama and her mama is adamant she was not his girlfriend, that was not her boyfriend. They'd been dating for a few weeks at most, but and they met when he came in and was looking for an apartment. And so, but even she thought that he was an all right dude because he was a veteran, a Marine veteran. And he had a son about the same age as her son. And she said that he was a doting dad. So that, but she still wanted to be careful. So she did a credit check on him. And he didn't have any, you can tell by people's credit checks if they're responsible or if they have bankruptcies and things like that. And I don't tell you a whole lot, but it will tell you a little bit. And I think, I'm not for sure if they did a background check, but even if they did, you guys, what he had been in trouble with domestic violence before this incident in June when he took Krystal's life with 2 other women. But in one instance, it was a misdemeanor. And on the second instance, and on the first instance, the misdemeanor, he got out of it by doing some domestic violence classes. And I'm not sure if that was expunged from his record or not, but he didn't go to jail. Wasn't on probation or nothing like that. All he had to do was some domestic violence classes. Oh, look at this. This is from the U.S. Marshals posted that. Yeah. But it looks like he might have a holster on his hip too. I'm not sure. But Krystal also thought that he was an all right guy because, I mean, I kind of understand too because she had this stalker guy. And if you had somebody like this protecting you, you might feel safer, if she only knew. And he ended up giving Krystal a gun to protect herself too. And only if she would have had it with her that night in June, that might have helped too. But unfortunately, she didn't. But yeah, what I was saying about the background checks was that one was a misdemeanor. And then he got in trouble again 3 months before this happened. And it was really bad, you guys. I do have an excerpt at the preliminary trial where it was his third ex-wife. Well, they were estranged at the time. And he had choked her so bad that the roommate had to come and pull him off of her. And Josephine said that, I forget what the name of that place was where this happened, Riverdale, I think. But she said that they failed her. If they would have kept him in jail after what he did to Rachel, this would have never been able to happen. Aaron says, and it's odd that his height and muscle mass changes, so he may not look big here, but he was very into muscle building and competition. Yep. And, which it's no excuse, but we know that people like that sometimes, well, on Nancy Grace, they said that he was taking steroids, and we know what that leads to a lot of times. And it seems like he gets angry when he's alone with women. So they said that it could be because of impotence, And I don't care to say that because you guys know that it's hard for me to be unbiased in situations like this. It really, really is. But anyway, so after they met at the property manager, she sent, I think it was this picture she sent to Josephine. And Josephine said she had no idea why she was even with this guy. He wasn't her type at all. And she said she just had an awful feeling about him just from those few pictures. And she didn't want her to go on this trip at all. But she ended up going anyways. And so they go and visit a Marine that was in the Marines the same time as Raymond was. That's Raymond, and he goes by RJ. And the guy that they went to visit, his name was Justin, I believe. There's a Justin and a Joshua, but yeah, it was Justin. And they go and visit him in San Diego at his apartment. And Trista says, I'm curious as to if he may have been on steroids, not accusing in any way, but I know they can make you an angry person because a cousin of mine took steroids and he got so angry, which wasn't normal. Yeah. Yeah, that's what they said on Nancy Grace that he was. Yeah. Yeah, Aaron's right. When he was captured, he's balding in the front too. Hey, Neat Noodle, how are you? It's good to see you. And Music City Mom, you brought Music City Mom in with you. That's okay. That's quite all right. We're just getting started. So they went to go visit Justin, and Justin has a wife and a newborn at this time. So he has a few drinks with those two, and around 10:30 at night, they go out to a local bar called the Library. And while they're in the library, they meet another Marine veteran, Joshua. And Joshua, this is just what I hear from his testimony because, like I said, Court TV doesn't have a lot of testimony in the preliminary. But they go and visit Joshua, and so then they go visit Justin. It's all the J's, you guys. So while they're at the bar, RJ ends up going to the bathroom, and Joshua testified that Krystal told him she didn't like it when RJ would grab her neck and stuff like that. Well, he came back out and he slapped her right in the face in front of everybody. And any man worth his salt is not going to stand by and let a man or a fellow Marine even or anything hit a woman. So they ended up getting in a physical altercation, and all three of them were kicked out. So they're last shown on video about 1:30 a.m. and they're going into the apartment, and I'll show you guys the video, and he is grabbing her by the neck in the elevator. And so the next morning, Justin goes out and plays volleyball with his friends. And when he gets home, it's about 1 p.m. And he goes and knocks on the spare bedroom door, and he ends up going into it when nobody answers. And he unfortunately finds Krystal there deceased. And they find blood on the bed, on the floor, all the way out to the elevator. So I don't know if he hurt her so bad or he tracked that out with him or what, but it was an awful scene. And one of the investigators said that it was the most violent scene that he'd ever ran across. And oh my goodness, Music City Mom, that's awful. Well, I hope she's away from him now. Yeah, I don't like to call any of those people men. I got special names I save for them for when I say my cousin for those kinds of men. You know, that's why I don't cuss a whole lot, because I save them for them kind of idiots. But anyways, and so by the time that Justin finds her, RJ is nowhere to be found, right? Well, what they find out later is he takes her car to the San Diego airport and rents another car. And some of the people that worked there, they testified that he was nervous and asking all kinds of questions. He paid extra for the Mexico insurance, and he asked like 3 or 4 times to make sure that he wouldn't have any trouble getting into Mexico. And then they find out, and you guys, I can't find any articles about this, and I've only heard about it in 2 interviews. But also that same day, before he crosses into Mexico, he gets they see his dad going into a Citibank, deposited $10,000, and they see RJ at another Citibank going in and getting the $10,000. Now, why doesn't that man get in trouble for that? Um, sure, Aaron, no problem. That'd be great. So I don't know why in the world he's not in trouble for that. You know what I'm saying? And then he crosses into Mexico, and they I can't remember how long it was after that, but they do find his car abandoned. And you guys, that is days after, it says, and more than 1,100 miles south of the border in Mazatlan, Mexico, is where they found that car. So this is December 2016. No, June 2016. And then in December, authorities asked the U.S. Marshals to search. And I think it's also about this time Josephine says, guys, this is Josephine too. She was a police detective for 8 years in Guam, and she gave that up when she started having her babies. But she said when this happened to her daughter that no, she was a woman on a mission. And the U.S. Marshals said they messed with the wrong woman. They messed with the wrong mama. She said that for the first about 5 months afterwards, she was in shock, total shock and grief and paralyzed basically, because she was now having to care for her two grandbabies all the time, you know, and so she had to focus on them. And so she had to focus on them. But after those 5 months, and probably about the same time the U.S. Marshals became involved, she started taking even social media classes. She started a foundation, and her foundation is in my description box, you guys. It's a wonderful resource for grieving families. And she said that it's been falsely reported a lot of places that she went to Mexico and South America, but she said she didn't physically go because she had the grandbabies, of course, but she would stay right on top of it. She was all in. She said at all hours of the day and night, she would be on the computer and calling the U.S. Marshals, trying to do all she could do. And so that's why I wanted to show you guys the first video that I have. Let me see here. This was shortly afterwards. I think that this was in March of 2017. First, it's one of the first videos that she did to try to help. And so this kind of gives you an idea about it. And but she was doing this the whole 6 years, and she's still doing this now. So let me see here.
Mother says she is desperate for answers after her daughter is murdered.
As a former detective, she's already making headway tracking down the killer, but she says it's not enough. Eileen Park has a story.
So it would be the last gift she'd give her two children.
Hi, Blake. Mommy loves you.
30-year-old Krystal Mitchell's voice, full of life and love. It's since been silenced when she was murdered inside this apartment while visiting San Diego with her new boyfriend last June.
So basically, he came across as a gentleman, and he had a 7-year-old son that he loved and adored.
Josephine Wentzel says her daughter met Raymond McLeod in Arizona. Mitchell moved there from Oregon a few years ago to work as a project manager at an apartment complex McLeod was applying to live in.
She wasn't in love with him. I mean, I don't think there was enough time to be in love, but she was checking it out.
She decided to go to San Diego with him for the weekend.
There was an altercation at the club. He got into it with somebody and punched some guy or something. What happened was, I know my daughter. She probably said, you know what, that's ridiculous. I'm out of here.
That's one theory behind the murder. San Diego police say the boyfriend immediately fled. His last known location was Belize. So Wentzel called up her former detective skills and went to work. But she was the most successful posting on social.
Yes, this was March 22nd of 2017, so not even a whole year yet. And they did find out that he had been in Belize and Guatemala, and where he was found, he had been at for at least 2.5 to 3 years, they said.
Social media. A lot of tips came in.
You know, finding him is not going to bring my daughter back, but finding him is going to stop him from creating another grieving family.
Beautiful, smart, and just beginning to change her life. Krystal Mitchell had so much going for her.
She wanted the best. And she was finally pursuing her dream, actually.
Now her mother is giving purpose to the family's loss and grief.
And for my granddaughter.
Hi, my wee Finny. Mommy loves you.
You know,
You guys, Krystal had made those Build-A-Bears for her kids before she sent them on the plane that time to visit their mama, and she put her voice in there. Like, how sweet was that? I do want to tell you guys also that at Krystal's funeral, they had a white casket, and Josephine said they gave the kids markers and let them write what they wanted to and draw for their mama on the casket. How sad is that, you guys? So sad. And she said that before she told the kids what happened to their mama, she made sure that they knew that how much their mama loved them. She said she wanted that in their brains first. Aaron says, that was my drive to prevent him from doing this again, and I just adored Josephine. I was drawn to help in any way. Yep, absolutely. That they do think that he might have hurt one or two more women at least while he was on the run, but he could have hurt way more still. I'm so glad that he did not do that again. And tomorrow, you guys, hopefully he goes away. He's facing 25 years to life, so hopefully he gets life.
I have to do this for my grandkids. That's my mission. My mission is for them because they need to know that the man who took their mother away is behind bars and they don't have to be afraid of him.
In Vancouver, Eileen Park, KOIN.
Josephine was saying there that she wants them to not be afraid for him to be behind bars so the grandbabies aren't afraid. And she said when she told them that he was captured, that's what they said. That was the first thing those babies said was, we don't have to be worried anymore that he's going to come and kill us. She said that her grandson slept with a wooden sword. And so that made me really sad too, guys. Okay, let me see here. So she even did ads in Belize. I found one that she did in Belize. She was all over everywhere that she could. Podcast. She was on Nancy Grace. She wrote 2 books during this time too, and did everything she could, like Aaron said, so that he couldn't hurt somebody else. Okay, let me see. This is she talks some more about her daughter here, and I wanted to show you guys this too.
Yesterday, we told you about the murder of an Arizona woman 5 years ago here in San Diego. It has now turned into an international manhunt. Much of this is due to the victim's mother, a former police detective who is now working on the most important case of her life, justice for her daughter, Krystal. Krystal Mitchell, seen here with her 2 young children, was 30 years old when she was murdered at a Mission Valley apartment. Her mother, Josephine, shared with me memories about her daughter.
She was a person that rescued honeybees from the swimming pool. She's gotten stung a few times. And we're in the pool, she'll scoop them out, put them in there because she cannot stand to see a bee in there dying, you know.
Let me see when this was, guys. This was March 17th, 2022. So he's still on the run at this time.
She loves animals. I mean, oh my gosh, when she was a little girl, any animal was lost in the neighborhood, she would find it. And it'd be in our backyard. And I'm like, Krystal, you can't keep this dog. It belongs to somebody. We have to let it go. One time she went to the beach and she came back with this big dog. I'm like, what? She goes, Mom, it's not my fault. My door was open and it climbed in. Well, why did you throw it out? Well, I didn't see anybody looking for him, so I brought him home. Next thing you know, we're putting posters and here's the owner. There's my dog? You know, it's like, she was funny in that way. Krystal was the kind of person that would just light up a room.
San Diego police say Krystal was killed by the man she was dating, Raymond McLeod. They believe he strangled Krystal and went to hide in Mexico. A warrant for his arrest was issued. Then the case went cold.
Ginger, it's so good to see you. How are you? We're talking about Krystal Mitchell's killer, Raymond McLeod. His trial starts tomorrow, and I'm hoping they televise it, but I'm not sure yet. But it's been 8 years, and so we're very glad she's going to finally get justice, her mama Josephine and her 2 babies. So that's what we're going over today, but it's so good to see you. It's good to see all you guys.
That's when Josephine, who's a former police detective, started her own investigation.
I went online and started looking around in Mexico and Belize. I knew that he went into Mexico, and I knew that there was word that he may have fled into Belize. So I took Belize and I just charged Belize online with all the different medias and stuff. I went on their buy and sale where there were thousands of people. And all of a sudden, I just got bombarded with people left and right about information, you know. I mean, in the midst, there were some crooks, of course, but people came forth and started, you know, saying he was here, he was here.
Those tips went to the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, who is now hunting the suspect.
It's a sort of double-edged sword in here. I mean, the social media could hurt us, but in this case, this is helping us out tremendously. And we've been receiving tips from the time that she has posted things in social media. We have received thousands of tips, Ginger. And
Yes, in February of 2017, they obtained a UFAP warrant. So I guess that's an international warrant. But and then in April of 2021 is when the U.S. Marshals offer a $50,000 reward. That's the first time that they have ever offered $50,000. And that guy that's talking right now at the press conference when they finally catch Raymond, Josephine loves that U.S. Marshal. She said he was so helpful, and it's a tip line, and somebody sent a tip in on the computer, and I reckon that they did end up getting the reward, so that was great.
And we we're looking into each and every tip. We'll contact the person that calls us up. We won't let any tip be ignored into this. Why? Because we know how hard she's been putting into it, the time and effort into this. And ultimately, I mean, we want to apprehend this individual.
McLeod is now on the top 15 most wanted list, and the U.S. Marshal's Office is offering the highest reward of $50,000 for information leading to his capture. That's double the cash incentives for others on the list, which means authorities want this man.
He has a criminal history on here. Okay. He did this here in the United States. What is not to say that he's going to be doing it in another country, in another city, places where the laws are not as strict as they are here in the U.S. too. We're talking about a well-trained individual too, well-trained individual where he could manipulate people, manipulate government personnel too. And it's one of those things that we have to be really careful. We have to be not only because he's a very well-trained person, but because he could have the resources too as well to, I don't know, maybe hide out, manipulate some local law enforcement there where it could work for him and not against him.
In the search for McLeod, U.S. Marshals try to learn details about the fugitive's life, what he likes to do, where he likes to go. In this case, the fugitive is a former Marine stationed at Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. Because of the honor associated,
Josephine said, I'm not for sure if it's in this. I got to tell you guys, this is the most research I think that I've done for a case because this is 8 years to catch up on, and there is a lot of, well, like Josephine said, it's been reported in a lot of cases that that she actually went to South America and Central America, but she said that wasn't true. So you see different things in different places. So I've tried to do the best that I could for you guys. But I can't remember if it's in this video or not, but Josephine had been wanting the Marines to come out and say, like, dude, like, turn yourself in. This isn't how Marines act, but a lot of his former Marines said that he was not a good dude. And when he was captured, some of the women from his hometown contacted Josephine and said, all of Arizona thanks you. So this dude was a total menace.
with the title of Marine and the fact that he's now running from his actions, others enlisted with McLeod are helping with the manhunt.
An individual that's serving his country, having that type of mindset, this history that he has, it just spoils everything. Spoils everything on what they stand for. And believe me, they want to help out as much as they can.
I want the Marines to come out and speak to him directly to say, look, when you joined the Marines, you were one of 40%, that made it to the tarmac. And you were a proud Marine. And you messed up royally. But you can make up for this. You can turn around, maybe not make up for it, but you can redeem yourself by turning yourself in and facing the consequences like a good Marine.
So this is just one of 250,000 cases in the U.S. where the victim's family is still waiting for justice. Coming up in part 3 of my special report, hear what Josephine is doing.
I thought that was good because we got to hear a little bit more about Krystal from her mama. And so then that brings us to That brings us to him being captured. And this shows us, I don't think I'm sharing with you guys again. Hang on just a second. Okay, I borrowed, quote unquote, borrowed this from Daily Mail, I think. But so it says he was spotted in Belize in 2018, in Guatemala in 2017. And then a tip comes through on August let me see here. Let me pull up my notes, guys. So it was April 2021 when the marshals offered that $50K reward. And then on Saturday, August 20th, 2022, that's when they received the tip through the website that he might be a teacher at an English school. But the tip had to be verified. Trista says you can't hide or run from God. He knows where you are at all times, so he will always work it out for the good, and his justice is right and true. That's absolutely right, Trista. And I know that the Lord says vengeance is his, and I have to remind myself of that a lot of times, and I bet that Josephine had to remind herself of that too, because I know it's probably way different when it comes to your kids. So he better be thankful that he was away from Josephine, in my opinion. So a week later, on Saturday, August the 27th, 2022, investigators traveled to El Salvador. But they had been verifying the tip and the tipster that whole week. And then they send investigators to do surveillance. And surveillance was conducted, and then on Monday, August the 29th, it was determined that McLeod had been going by Jack Donovan, and he was saying that he was a Canadian. And listening to the investigators, they said that he didn't have any ID on him, and that was a good thing because he was in the country illegally, so it was easier to deport him. So the next day, he was deported back to LA and then back to San Diego. And they said that if you Google, I didn't try this myself, but if you Google Canadian Jack Donovan, that he is a muscular guy with tattoos like McLeod. So that's probably all he did, and he'd been going by that name. But he'd also been going by Matt and Mateo, and Josephine had been getting tips this whole time. But by the time that they would get help there, he would be moved on. And so I'm surprised that he had been staying at, I'll show you guys the school that he was staying at. I'm surprised that he had been staying at this place for 2.5 to 3 years. They said this is what it looked like. It's called Direct English. And it was in a town, I can't pronounce the town, but it's El Salvador. Cincinnati, I believe is how you say it. El Salvador. And she does know at the press conference, they asked Josephine if she thought he had hurt any more women while he was on the run. And she said that she'd been contacted by a Guatemalan woman who said he'd badly beaten her neighbor's daughter, another woman in Belize, and he had trigger warning. I'm going to talk about an animal for a second. He badly beat a dog while it was in the cage and couldn't get to him. And she said that he was at this hostel, and the owner of the hostel was found at the bottom of a pool with a broken neck. So she said she believes that was him too. So he caused, and who knows what else he did while he was gone for those 6 years, guys. So I have an interview with a student of his at the school. But I'll show you guys this picture. This is him, and they said that he always wore long sleeves, and they believe it was to cover up his tattoos. So this was a picture taken of him at that school. And then the student also provided a picture. This is him in the white back here, and he looks a lot smaller, doesn't he? I guess he couldn't get his roids while he was on the run. But and this is at one of the students' birthday parties at that school. And the investigators were asked, Neat Noodle says, that's terrible. I have no compassion for anyone that hurts animals. Me neither. And I want to clarify that I said that the dog was in the cage and couldn't even hurt him. There's no reason to hurt a dog like that anyways. But I was just saying, like, it wasn't attacking him. It wasn't like it was self-defense or anything, you know. But I do have a, what I was going to tell you guys, the investigators were asked, do they think that he hurt any of the students at that school, or they wanted to make sure that he did say that the students at that school were in their 20s, so that's good. Heather Bratt says, Mo, I was thinking he can't exactly drop and do 50 push-ups on the run. Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Oh, guys, I got to show you this too. Look, this was when they captured him. And look at the back of his shirt. Coach, changing lives. Yeah, or taking lives. That should have said taking lives, you bastard. Anyways, dirty bastards. And he's got this this man bun up here. He's going bald in the front. So this shows the difference in him now. Oh, that shirt has just made me mad again, you guys. It really has made me real mad again. Yeah. Nope. You guys know that I try to be unbiased the best I can, but I let y'all know up front, not in cases like this. And this is the U.S. Marshals catching him. See, he's going bald up here in the front. I'm just saying that he's obviously about his looks, working out like he does and stuff, so it somehow makes me feel better in a petty way that he's losing his hair up front. But yeah, so now we'll watch the video from his little student. I think it's interesting. And I'll share it with you guys too.
Arrested in El Salvador for the murder of his girlfriend here in San Diego. Raymond McLeod was on the run for 6 years and on the U.S. Marshals Most Wanted list. CBS 8's David Goffredson talked with a student from El Salvador who says McLeod was his English teacher for 2 years.
I remember he told me he's from Canada. Also, his name was Jack, just Jack.
Josue Castro took this photo of his English teacher in Sonsonate, El Salvador, at a school called Direct English, where he studied English for more than 2 years between 2017 and 2019. Little did he know his teacher was a fugitive, Raymond McLeod, wanted for murder.
I am shocked because that's why my teacher of English also, he was very friendly with me, explained me a lot of lessons of English. Also, he was next to me, in front of me, and behind me.
Josue also took this photo during a birthday celebration with his teacher and other students.
At the end of class, sometimes we went go out to take one snack and one coffee. Also, when we go out, he always like one cigarette, always smoking. Yeah, he told me, I smoke because I have stress right now.
McLeod was arrested Monday afternoon, still teaching.
You're right, Brad. He does have more muscles than him, and I think this marshal on the right was Francisco that Josephine spoke so highly about.
At the same school in El Salvador. He was on the U.S. Marshal's most wanted list, accused of murdering his girlfriend, 30-year-old Krystal Mitchell. She was found beaten and strangled to death in 2016 in an apartment off Mission Gorge Road. McLeod was described as a former Marine, an avid bodybuilder with tattoos, and a heavy drinker.
I couldn't see more tattoos because he always for the large sleeve t-shirt. He told me that he drinks some beers, but I'm never going to drink with him.
Looking back, Josue says McLeod had him totally fooled.
He never looks nervous. Normal.
Wonder what the front of his shirt said, guys. They had it blurred out, and I never did see the front. It was probably some local place or something, I would say.
I thought he was a criminal person.
Josue spoke to me from Los Angeles, where he currently works in a restaurant. He said he never saw McLeod driving a vehicle, and he says McLeod claimed to be living in a rented apartment. David Gottfredson, CBS 8.
So that was September 1st, 2022, so right after he was arrested. So now that brings us up to this past year, 2024. And there was a preliminary hearing, and you guys know that a preliminary hearing, they have to establish that there's enough probable cause to bind it over to trial. And I did want to show you guys some parts of that, but I do want to tell you that it was bound over for trial, and it's supposed to start tomorrow. That's why I thought it would be nice to catch us all up on everything until then. Let me see here. Oh, I do want to show you guys, these people found an article. Well, they made a video about, they found some stuff about his past of DV. So I wanted to share that with you guys too. And then I found an article too. I gotta wait for the ad, and then I'll come back and get you guys. Yeah, I hate everything about him. Okay.
Marine who was on the run for years after his girlfriend from Phoenix was found dead back in 2016. Raymond McLeod was on the U.S. Marshal's 15 most wanted list, accused of killing Krystal Mitchell. After searching for him throughout Central America, he was finally arrested in El Salvador yesterday. Well, tonight we have more details that shows more about his violent past,
including his arrest for domestic violence 6 years before he allegedly killed Mitchell. Michael Raymond is live in the newsroom. He's been going through those court papers. Michael, what did they show?
Well, Jamie, there really was a buildup of violence before Krystal Mitchell was murdered in 2009, that he pled guilty to assaulting his then wife. That was the start of McLeod's violence towards some of the people closest to him.
Law enforcement in El Salvador put an end to the 6-year search for Raymond McLeod. He's accused of killing his girlfriend from Phoenix, Krystal Mitchell, and taking off back in 2016. These court papers that are new tonight show he also assaulted his then wife and a minor back in 2009.
I don't know if it says it here, you guys, but I read somewhere else that the mother was holding the baby when he assaulted her. So that shows what kind of quote unquote man he is. And they don't talk about what happened to his estranged wife 3 months before he allegedly murdered Krystal. But they, not here, but they do talk about it in another spot. I'll show you guys.
Of domestic violence and a perpetrator of other forms of violence is prevalent. It's big.
This is Mariah Moon, the CEO of New Life Center. She was not surprised McLeod had a history of domestic violence.
There usually is a link to domestic violence. Us as advocates, we know that domestic violence is lethal.
A year after McLeod pled guilty in 2009, the state dismissed charges against him after he completed the domestic violence diversion program. But 6 years later, law enforcement accused him of killing his girlfriend. McLeod was the last person to see Krystal Mitchell alive.
More red flags, you guys. And Krystal didn't know about any of this because it was a misdemeanor and then it was dismissed. So that wouldn't have shown up on his records, I don't think, even if she did check them. I'm not sure if she did a criminal background check. She did have somebody check his credit. I'm not sure if they had that capability. It was because she was in the she was a property manager, so she could check that relatively easily, you know, and plus he was moving in there, so she probably had to do it anyways.
Domestic violence is a cycle and it's not a one-time.
You can see here McLeod was wearing a shirt with the words "Coach" and "Changing Lives" written on the back. Authorities had a tip that he was teaching in El Salvador. Moon is disturbed that McLeod was trying to pretend to be someone he was not.
What I did find really unique and interesting about looking at the video and reading this case is how cunning perpetrators of domestic violence can be. He was externally kind of the champion in what we imagine in our society, being in the military.
Now, McLeod is being deported to San Diego to face charges. New Life Center says half of all female homicide cases are domestic violence in our country.
Wow, you guys, half of all women's murders are domestic violence related. That is so much when you think about it. Bless them.
So if you're in a violent relationship or situation at home, we have some resources for you on our website. Head to azfamily.com, then look under the Seen on TV tab. It can certainly help you.
And she says, I believe he was out on bond for attempted murder on his ex-wife number 3 when he did this to Krystal, allegedly. Yep, he sure was. And that's what we'll go to next. I'm going to, now we're going to go to the parts of the trial that I could get for you guys. First, I'll show you guys the, let me see here. First, we can listen to his friend that talks about finding Krystal's body. Click, click, click. I'll get us there, guys.
Now to California, where we've been watching you some of the key moments from a preliminary hearing in a case against defendant Raymond McLeod. He's a former Marine accused of brutally murdering his girlfriend and fleeing the country. We're going to pick it up now with testimony from Justin Sadell. He's a friend of McLeod's who McLeod and victim Krystal Mitchell were visiting and staying with on the night that she died. Take a listen.
When you left the house, had you seen the defendant or Krystal?
No.
Had you heard the defendant or Krystal?
No.
Did you attempt to contact them at that point?
I don't believe that I attempted to contact them before I.
Okay, guys, I do have to tell you, we don't hear it here, but in one article I read that Justin's wife did hear Krystal scream one time and then it was silent. So the defense here is trying to make it seem like, well, you didn't hear anything, so it must have not been a bad fight or whatever. But I did read that in that one article that it said his wife did hear something.
I left. It was maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, which is not early, but if you're out drinking, that can be kind of an earlier time. So I don't recall talking with them or messaging them or anything to that effect that morning.
When you left the house to go play volleyball and then go to your school project somewhere and coming home to the apartment, had you had any communication with the defendant?
No.
Or with Krystal?
No.
What happened when you arrived home?
Arrived home late, early afternoon, I would say maybe between 12 and 1 o'clock. That's a guess on the time. There was no one out, no sounds of any kind. I figured they were either still sleeping or the vehicle was there, I believe, so I didn't think that they had left. So I thought that they were probably still in the bedroom.
At that point, what did you decide to do?
Knocked on the door to the bedroom, and I didn't hear anything. I imagine I would have probably knocked several times, and not getting a response.
Yes, Debbie, we were talking that, and I believe in one of the videos that I watched, an expert was even talking about how that the steroids lead to, I think it was on Nancy Grace, lead to impotence, and that it could that's why these instances of violence are behind closed doors and things like that. We need to watch that again, what she said.
I don't remember this for sure, but I'm imagining at that point I would have maybe cracked the door and said hello or something, and I still didn't hear anything.
You say you don't remember for sure. Are you saying it's difficult to remember step-by-step details about the idea of knocking and opening the door?
Yes, ma'am, exactly right.
But is it fair to say that you remember knocking and then at some point opening the door?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. What happened when you opened the door?
I opened the door and I saw Krystal in on the left side of the bed. She was mostly covered with a sheet, and she had one of her arms up in a kind of an awkward position for someone who would have been sleeping almost straight up in what seemed to be a very unnatural position for someone who was sleeping.
Let me stop you right there. When you say straight up, can you in the air, resting on the bed? Can you sort of give us a better description of what you're seeing as you walk in?
Yes, laying on the bed, but the arm was neither laying on the bed nor on the pillow nor resting comfortably on her body. It was up at maybe a 45-degree angle, again in an awkward position for someone who was sleeping. It became clear to me very.
I don't know why his defense is trying to say that this was consensual, rough sex. You know what I'm saying? Because how do they explain all the blood and all of her facial contusions and her 3 fractures on her neck? I just can't believe they have the gall or audacity to do this. Hopefully he just pleads guilty sometime between now and tomorrow and doesn't put her family through this anymore.
Very quickly that she was deceased.
You testified earlier that you slept throughout the entire night. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You did not hear any yelling that night?
I did not.
You did not hear any screaming that night?
No.
You did not hear any kind of physical altercation that night?
No.
And I am assuming that because you have training and you served as a Marine, you're familiar with combat and you're keenly aware of what fighting looks like and what it sounds like. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, and you're also an EMT. On that night, you told the police specifically that you didn't hear a thing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And you didn't notice a thing. Is that correct?
Correct.
If you would have heard screaming, would you have gone into that room and checked?
Absolutely.
If you had heard yelling.
Again, but his wife said that she did hear one scream, and then nothing else. She probably thought that they'd just been out drinking, coming home loud and stuff like that. And they had a newborn baby in the house with them, you guys. That bothers me too. That really, really bothers me that he did all that anyways, but that he did all that with a newborn baby in the apartment.
Would you have gone into that room and checked?
Objection, relevance.
I'll allow the answer. Go ahead, sir.
Yes.
Okay, that's the friend on the stand. He opted not to be on camera. That's why we didn't get to see him while he was answering those questions. Philip DeBate's still with us. At the end of the day, a jury, that video of them walking into the elevator where he's got his hand on her neck.
I'll show you guys that video next.
I'm not sure I see this defense as being anything other than infuriation from a jury member, especially a woman or a guy like me, a father of two daughters. I mean, I don't want this guy out to meet another beautiful woman. And it just, the whole rough sex thing is, please, give me a break. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it wasn't a love tap. It wasn't AI. It wasn't a reality TV episode. This is a hostile dude, grabbing his girl by the throat. To me, that was a foreshadow of more to come. And I'm surprised she didn't start screaming then and try to fight her way out of that elevator. What was so hot about this guy that she decided to put up with it and go up with him to the room? It's
Okay, I'm not listening to this guy anymore. I forgot about this at the end. He said, what made him so hot that she didn't fight her way out of that elevator? Who does he think he is? Ugh. Like that was the reason that she went up there. She was in a city that she didn't know a soul. And that's victim shaming, in my opinion. And that's disgusting. Okay, now guys, I want to show you the surveillance. I'm going to let this play. That I'm disappointed with that court TV. I am. I'm going to let this play because they talk a little bit about other things before they get to the surveillance video. But when we get to that, I made my own video and zoomed in so that we could see it better. So when we get to that, I'll play it to the part that I saved. Oh, wait. I didn't get you guys, did I? I'm coming. How many clicks does it take me to get there? Let's see. There we go.
Who is that person in relation to the case?
Would be Raymond McLeod's ex-wife, the mother of his, at the time, I believe, 8-year-old child.
Did she talk to you about an incident between her and the defendant that occurred in 2009?
Yes.
What did she tell you about that?
She told me about an incident when they were, I believe, exchanging their child, or they were somewhere in public where a witness saw Raymond McLeod push her while she was holding the baby, and that the police were called. And due to that incident, he was required to go to anger management classes of some sort.
Did she tell you anything with regards to an order of protection after that?
Objection leading.
We'll allow it. Overruled.
I don't recall an order of protection.
Would looking at a copy of the report help?
It may.
Please do so. Do you have a copy?
I do.
Thank you. Look at it. Do you recall anything with regards to an order of protection?
They're talking about the incident that happened in 2009.
Yes, she's told me she obtained an order of protection in Arizona after that incident.
Did she tell you that the matter was settled out of court?
She did.
Thank you. And she said that that she did not place the call. Someone witnessed Mr. McLeod pushing her, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And again, there was nothing physical after that.
I don't believe she told me about any physical incidents other than that one.
Great, thank you so much. So you spoke to JH, correct?
Yes.
And she told you that she had engaged in regular sexual encounters with Mr. McLeod
Yes.
and that he had dated many girls?
I think
Yes,
this
and
is his
I talked to many of
defense,
those girls, yes.
trying to make excuses again.
And she told you that Mr. McLeod was pretty much a male whore and that he admitted to that, correct?
Yes.
She told you that there were certain things that they liked to do. Is that correct?
Yes.
Choking, not a problem, correct?
Yes, those were her words.
With me, he knew he had a limit. Is that what she told you? Referring you to 159, middle of the page, actually bottom of the page, I asked Harris about the sex life with McLeod. Yes. She continued.
Yes, she talked about that they had limits.
Okay. So with me, he knew he had limits.
Correct.
When I told him to stop, he would stop immediately, correct?
Yes.
We were kind of into that whole bondage thing. Did she tell you that?
She did.
Did not mind at all. Did she say that?
Yes.
Anal, we did. Did she say that?
Yes.
At one point, he did want to share me, but I told him I don't do that. He was okay, not a problem. She told you that?
She did.
You asked JH if McLeod taught her about bondage or if they were equal.
And she replied that they were equal. And that's when she talked about the limits and that he respected her limits.
Thank you. So she told you that he knew that.
Well, just because that he was okay with this wife doesn't mean that he obviously wasn't okay with the wife in 2009 or with, I believe her name was Rachel, the 3 months before he committed this murder. So that, that doesn't hold any weight in my opinion.
That she had limits and that he respected them.
That's correct.
She would tell him to stop and he wouldn't take it too far.
Correct. On the far right of the clip is Mr. McLeod. Female in the middle, I recognize this.
Okay, guys, so this is just them coming in when they first arrived at the apartment. So now I am going to show you guys what I zoomed in a little bit so that we could see better. This was afterwards. This was when they were coming back in after they'd been out to the bar.
Stopping at 1 minute and 19 seconds. Can you please describe what we just saw?
She's obviously upset. He had already been in. I didn't show that part, but he had already been in and he stopped and urinated right. You can see right there beside the van. He did that, and it was kind of funny. The investigator said, and he blew a snot rocket. That's the way he explained it right there. And then he went on to the elevator, and then here she comes, Krystal, and we know that he's just slapped her at the bar. And they've gotten kicked out. So she's very upset.
Miss Mitchell looked once to her right, walked into the garage. Here's a look into the garage before turning the corner and sitting down against the wall right as she entered the garage.
Resuming the video at 1 minute and 19 seconds. Stopping the video at 2 minutes and 1 second. Can you please describe what we just saw in the video?
As she's sitting there, she momentarily drapes her sweater over her legs, and then she's now pulled the sweater and it looks like she may be getting up.
Resuming the video at 2 minutes 1 second. Stopping at 1 second. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Well, what's this?
It's the clip of McLeod getting into the elevator from camera 2. It's still the 10th, and it's 1:24 and 49 seconds.
Resuming 1 second. Stopping the clip at 10 seconds. Can you please describe what we just saw?
At the 1 second mark, he hit the wall 2 times with his fist, walked to the other side of the elevator, the door began to close. He grabbed it with one arm and opened it, and then flexed his left hand out.
Resuming the video at 10 seconds. Stopping the video at 23 seconds. Can you please describe what we just saw?
The door in the elevator continues to move to try to close, and he's holding it and then sticks his head out. I can't tell on this screen if he's mouthing words or not, but he sticks his head out as if he's looking for or saying something to somebody.
And resuming the video at 23 seconds. Stopping the video at 38 seconds. Can you please describe what we just saw?
Warning, guys, here comes the bad part where he grabs her. So trigger warning, guys.
McLeod is still blocking the door. He's flexing his left fist, and then opening it, and then Mitchell walks into the frame.
Resuming the video at 38 seconds. Stopping the video at 51. Can you please describe what we just saw in the video?
Miss Mitchell puts her right hand up onto his stomach or chest area as she tries to get in. He's standing there, so she kind of guides him backwards to the back of the elevator and then turns, and as the doors are closing, McLeod reaches with his right hand, grabs her on the throat. His left hand is holding her right wrist, and he pushes her up against the back of the elevator.
Resuming the video at 51 seconds.
What a place to bring.
I know, guys. It makes me so angry, too. So he just slapped her at the bar, and then they're coming home, and he does that to her in the elevator, and it makes me so sad to think what happened to her once he got her into that apartment, you know? Or did he hurt her in the elevator before he even got her in the apartment? Because there was blood found in the elevator, too. Okay, Nicole, thank you so much for coming by. Love up on that baby girl for us. We love her, too. I hope you have a great day. And you and her and the doggy stay warm, too. Thank you for coming by. So there is one more thing that I want to show you guys. It is another part of the trial that let me find it here, about where they talk about Rachel, what he did to her too. Yeah, and they showed that what we just watched was the preliminary trial that happened in this past October. So, and they did say that there was enough evidence, of course, to bind it over for the main trial, and that's supposed to happen tomorrow.
Disturbing new testimony today in the case of a U.S. Marine veteran accused in the death of his girlfriend. Raymond McLeod went on the run in 2016, first to Mexico, then El Salvador, where he was eventually captured in 2022 and brought back here to the U.S. to face charges for the death of Krystal Mitchell. Mitchell's mother was one of the driving forces in keeping the case alive. Well, now prosecutors are laying out the evidence in day 2 of a hearing, hoping to send the case to trial. NBC7's Dana Williams is outside the courthouse downtown. She joins us now with the latest on the case. Dana?
Good afternoon. We just wrapped up day 2. Day 3 is expected to come tomorrow, and that is going to be the final day, we're told, of this hearing. Something that's been interesting to see over the past couple of days, the McLeod who we're seeing in court is almost unrecognizable compared to the McLeod that we've been seeing in photos and videos for the past several years. He's clean shaven, he's wearing glasses, his hair slicked up and in a bun, he's in a suit and tie. But today we heard from a woman who says she's known him for years. And I do have to warn you, some of what's ahead you may find disturbing.
Did you see him in court today?
I think I heard on another place that this woman had known him for like 14 years or something, so a very long time. And Debbie, she sounds like she might be your neighbor.
Yes, I do. That's the voice of a witness who testified. The judge asked that we not show her face. She said she has known Raymond, also called R.J. McLeod, for 14 years. In March of 2016, only months before Krystal Mitchell was killed, she said McLeod and his then wife stayed with her at her home. During the stay, she said the wife told her she was scared, and the couple got into an argument that turned physical.
Several minutes later, I could hear her yelling, "RJ, stop it. Stop it, you're hurting me. Get off me." And I went to the door and it was locked.
After getting a key to unlock it, she went in and said she saw McLeod holding his then wife in a chokehold.
And he was on top of her. She was gurgling. Her lips were blue. She was no longer able to speak and was struggling to breathe.
The witness said they were able to free the wife and she did not have any lasting injuries. Months later, McLeod and his then girlfriend, Mitchell, were staying with another friend.
Did the defendant come to...
Guys, I gotta show y'all something. Let me get back here. So they said that she didn't have any lasting injuries, right? Oh, sorry, guys. Warning, warning. I'm going to show a photo of Rachel's injuries. I found off of this channel Unseen did a very good video that Debbie sent me about this case, and I'm going to show you a picture of Rachel's injuries. This was her, you can, just they have it blurred out, but what we can see is really bad. And this is what he was out on bail for 3 months before he allegedly killed Krystal. And I think that it was aggravated assault with a domestic, so he was out on a felony domestic violence charge of inflicting injury on his third wife. So this is her, and I wanted to show you guys that because Josephine said that that county failed Rachel and failed her daughter and failed whoever else he hurt while he was on the run, that he should not have been granted bail. And I don't know if I told you guys this, but after he left, she went to speak to the bail bondsman, and she said, "Are you guys looking for him?" And he said, "No, nobody's looking for him." So that's when she decided that she had to do something, and it was on her. So that's what got her, she contacted them, and they said they weren't even looking for him. So that got her moving. Exactly, Sunday. She says, tell us how she was okay with it if she's crying out for help. POS. Definitely.
To your house in San Diego on June 10th of 2016.
Yes.
We heard from that friend on the witness stand. He is who found Mitchell's body.
Items were strewn everywhere. There was no clear walkway, multiple items in which I had to step over and be careful for because it was an evidence scene.
A team of San Diego police investigators, including Lieutenant Timothy Radke, responded to the Allied Gardens apartment. But this time, McLeod was nowhere to be found.
Miss Mitchell's vehicle was located at the San Diego Lindbergh Airport inside Terminal 2 by Harbor PD. We requested it be towed to our Northwestern Division, which is where we process all vehicles for evidence.
Another one of the detectives on the case at the time, Ryan Seymour, who's now an investigator with the district attorney's office, said during the investigation, they learned McLeod rented a car from the airport.
He was tangling up his words, repeating letters, repeating words. Basically, he was describing stuttering to me, and he suggested he thought he might be afraid or something.
Employees who interacted with him at the time noted his demeanor, saying he was...
Oh, so he was afraid when he was at the counter after he'd stolen her car, and he was at the counter trying to rent another car. He was afraid. So I hope he was afraid of getting caught those whole 6 years, because he put a lot of women in fear.
Was very curt. Then at the exit gate, he asked about going to Mexico.
He said that he had paid for the Mexican insurance. He was under the impression he needed some sort of certificate, and that it was important for him that he was allowed to go across the border.
On the same day, investigators found surveillance video of his dad, Raymond McLeod Sr., depositing $10,000 at a Chase Bank in Arizona.
We observed Mr. McLeod Jr. at the Chase Bank in Chula Vista withdrawing $10,000.
Clearly, there is a lot to sift through. On the same day, investigators found surveillance video of his dad, Raymond McLeod Sr., depositing $10,000 at a Chase Bank in Arizona.
We observed Mr. McLeod Jr. at the Chase Bank in Chula Vista withdrawing $10,000.
That's where I heard that from, you guys. So his dad deposited $10,000 in the bank where he lived in Arizona, and his son picked it up in where he was. So they do sound pretty. They do. Both of those accents sound really pretty. So Aaron, you said that the dad was elderly is probably why they didn't pursue charges, and we don't know what he could have told him. I do know that before he crossed over into Mexico, he did call his ex-wife and say that he wouldn't be at his son's birthday party. Yeah, so he had a 7-year-old son at this time that he just abandoned too. What a good example he set for his son, huh? Bless them too, you guys. Bless him too.
Clearly, there is a lot to sift through here, and the point of all of this is to determine if there's enough evidence for this case to go to trial. Again, this is expected to wrap up tomorrow. Something that you didn't see just then, but we are going to show you on NBC7 News at 5, surveillance video of the night before Krystal Mitchell's death. Live from downtown, I'm
Sorry, guys. So where she was speaking about their surveillance, that's what we watched at the end. And I'm glad that edited it and made it bigger for us because it was hard to see anyways. But her just so she just been slapped, and then she was probably thinking, okay, do I go up in this elevator with him, or what do I do? I'm in a town, I don't know anybody. Will he he knows where I live. She probably lived in the same property management place where she worked, so he knew where she lived. I know it's so hard to watch these surveillance things when we know what happens afterwards, and we're just thinking, stop, you know. So that brings us up to the trial that is supposed to start tomorrow. I'm going to keep up with it, guys. Hopefully that they stream it, and if they do, maybe we could watch it here together, or I could at least take notes for you guys, and we could see what happens. Okay, Brett, thank you for helping today. I hope you have a great day. There is one thing that I wanted to show you guys, a good thing, before we leave. And it is it's not a video this time, it's an article. And I know that we all have been wondering about, and worried about the hurricane victims. And every time that it's gotten cold since then, I worry about them who still don't have homes. A lot of them are staying in tents still. A lot of people have donated RVs and campers to them, which is great. Neat Noodle, thank you so much. She says, good job, Mo. Thank you. Even Debbie's friend is still helping there. I was afraid that happened in September, you guys, I believe, and I was afraid that people would forget about them and not keep helping them. But I do have an article today to show with you guys where the Amish have helped them tremendously, and I wanted to show you guys that. It says members of Central Pennsylvania Amish community craft tiny homes for hurricane victims in North Carolina. This is great, you guys. And it says more than 60 members of Central Pennsylvania's Amish community traveled to Boone, North Carolina last month to build 12 tiny homes for hurricane victims. And this was in January, so they did that in December. So hopefully they got these homes before it got really cold. It says, while Amish builders are known for coming together in their own communities and raising a barn in a short amount of time, members of Central Pennsylvania's Amish community used their skills recently to help those who were affected by Hurricane Helene. More than 6 so 60 Amish craftsmen from Central PA traveled to Boone, North Carolina just before Christmas to build 12 sheds that will be used as tiny homes for individuals and families who were displaced by Helene last September. And you guys, they built, 60 Amish men built 12 tiny homes in 48 hours, you guys. They built them in 48 hours. And I think it says down here, all of the money that it took, they spent their own money. It says, according to High Country Press, the group of Amish workers, women, and children arrived in Boone with 5 trailers filled with building supplies, tools, and equipment. Additionally, the group left behind 12 propane tanks, tools, and 5 pallets of fire department supplies, including hoses and axes, which will be given to a local fire department. Wow. While the men built, the women and children prepared and served food and distributed gifts, toys, and clothing to the local community. In just a few short days, construction of 12 sheds was completed. The total cost of the project was estimated to be around $300,000, all of which was donated by the Amish community, you guys. I love that. I love that too, Debbie. That just made my day when I read that. I saw a short about it, and I was like, I hope this is true, but I always try to verify before I bring you guys stuff, and I'm like, please let this one be true. And it was true. I found a few articles about that, and $300,000. It's amazing how they even use their own money, and that's at least 12 families got out of the cold. That made my day too. Sunday says that's incredible for them to do that. Yes, it was. So okay. Okay, guys. I think that's all that I have for you guys today. But I wanted to thank you guys so much for coming and spending your time with me. Debbie says, amazing. Love how many people have come together to help them. Lots more work to be done, sadly. Yeah, exactly. But I'm glad people are still thinking of them 3 months later. And they even left them propane tanks too, you guys. I thought that was just awesome. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming to hang out with me today. I'm hoping that I can update my community tab soon, and that Virgil Thu is captured ASAP. So you guys be looking out for that. And if there's anything else, Debbie suggested this case to me, so I appreciate that so much. I hadn't heard about it, even with Aaron working with the U.S. Marshals trying to find him. She sent me a video, you guys, of another guy who looked just like him with the man bun and the tattoos and everything that she had seen, but it wasn't him. But she said that guy was a bad dude too. Yes, hippie chick. My mods are my friends first and foremost, and they spend their own time helping me like they do, and I appreciate that so very much. Thank you guys. But like I was saying, if you guys ever have any ideas for any cases that we can bring awareness to, please email me. And I think that's all. And hopefully that I'll keep you guys updated about this case too. Okay, I love you all. Remember to say your prayers and take your vitamins too, especially right now. Okay, I love you all. Bye-bye.